Hi everyone, it's Linda here from Be Clear with Bronchiectasis. It is getting so dry in New York City. It's November and the heat is on in my apartment building. And although I don't turn the heat on, I try not to turn the heat on very often in the apartment. What happens, we're on the 16th floor, is it seeps in. It just seeps in just from other apartments. Like if I put my hand on the heating unit, I can feel it's hot. So it dries out the air, and then it dries up my nose, and I've even caught myself coughing a couple of nights, which is always disturbing because I don't really cough anymore, but just reminds me of all that time I did cough incessantly and how upsetting it was. So I try to nip that in the bud. As it is, you can even hear in my voice, I'm hoarse. I've been hoarse for over 30 years, and certainly the dry ear doesn't help. So, what's a girl to do? Well, what I'm not going to do is purchase an ultrasonic humidifier. Dr. Joseph Falkenham, he's a microbiologist at Virginia Tech, and he advises many of us in the bronchiectasis and NTM community does not like ultrasonic humidifiers. It's a very small particle, putting that in your ear, and it can easily go into your mouth, your nose, into your lungs, and it could cause an infection. So we don't want that particle size. We don't want an ultrasonic. If you have to use a humidifier, I still call them vaporizers from when my girls were young. That's what we call them. Then he recommends instead using one that's evaporative. So I guess there's a couple of different models where air is blown across a filter or there's a plate and the water is boiled. But they seem to, it's better than having it broken down into that really, really small particle and then put into your home air. So there are instructions that come with these devices as far as cleaning them regularly because they will form a biofilm, and that's what we're most concerned about. And Dr. Falkenham does mention a bleach solution. I believe it's 1 to 10. If you want to find out more about what he has to say, you can follow along on a message board from NTMIR. That's NTMIR Connect. If you Google that, you should find it. And it's not just for people with NTM, it's also for people with bronchiectasis. So follow along for his recommendations. But personally, I don't feel I want to use a humidifier, although I certainly have in the past. But now that I better understand, I don't. That's how I feel about it. You might feel differently or have different needs. So, yep, kind of crazy, but this is what I use. I found this on Amazon. I think it's made by Amazon, and I fill it with water and I leave the top open, and all that water just boils out within 10 minutes. It's in my home air. So I can even bring it into my bedroom and set it up. It has an electric plate and then just boils away, or I could set it up in the living room. I live in 900 square feet. This might not be a solution for everyone, but I'm just trying to share with you what I do because, as I said, I can't really control the heat in my home. Also, when I get very dry, I use this nasal spray called Simply Saline. I try not to use it right before bedtime because I don't want that dripping down in the back of my throat and perhaps being aspirated into my lungs. So I use it often in the morning, maybe mid-afternoon, just to moisturize my nasal passages. Also, I very much like this Air. It's a gel, but it is not petroleum based. So you never want to put Vaseline or petroleum based products up in your nose. There are many reasons why. You can Google that online. But I find I like this a lot, and it doesn't have any parabens. So I do try to check for parabens. I don't, especially with something like nasal passages where this could be easily ingested. I don't really want to be putting something in my nose that has parabens. So this is another favorite go-to. And if I get a cold, so I don't really have sinus problems other than like a bit of a postnasal drip. And I do use a nasal spray for that. I have for 30 years. It's called ipratropium bromide. It's been around for a very long time, and a couple of squirts in each nostril just sets me right for the day, so I don't have that drippy nose. But let's say I have a cold, or I just exposed myself. I have a conference coming up. There are going to be a lot of people I'm going to be talking to. I'm not going to be wearing a mask. And I'm going to come home. I'm going to rinse my sinus passages. I'm going to do airway clearance. But I like this because I do not like the NeilMed bottle. Now, I know for some people, they who have major sinus issues, they have to use a really big NeilMed bottle because they also put antibiotics and other stuff in it. And I just feel, I understand that it's hard to come up with a solution like that because this little guy probably isn't going to do it for you. But I don't like the bottle because you can't really clean it. And you know there's going to be a biofilm. I'd like someone to culture those bottles and just find out what's in there. But with that said, I don't think that'll be happening anytime in the near future. This little guy's great because you can open it up and you can clean it and you can follow instructions and put it, I believe, in the microwave as well. The one solution I do have, if you have to or prefer to use a NeilMed bottle. Oh, and by the way, this functions very much like the NeilMed, where you don't have, it's not a neti pot where you have to turn your head this way and turn your head that way. As someone who has vestibular issues, that isn't something I like to do. But with a NeilMed bottle, let's say you have to use it, you might want to buy those bottles in bulk or contact the company, because personally, if that were me, I'd probably be tossing my bottle regularly. So I guess that's what I have to say just about keeping our nose moist. We don't want the little hairs to be flattened out. We want them doing their job and trying to keep environmental issues like pollen out of our nose. I couldn't think of that. Pollution. We also want it to fight off bacteria, viruses, what have you. So we want to keep our nostrils moist. Okay, that's enough about the nose. Take care. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like this video. Follow me on social media. I have a great page, both on Facebook, a business page, and Instagram, and I try to post every day really interesting and helpful topics. Okay, take care. Enjoy the day. Bye-bye.